How y'all doing tonight? It took me a little bit to get my shit together. I ain't done much of nothing all week. It's been cold, it's been miserable, and I'm not moving too well. But most of what I was doing was mostly writing stuff up. I screwed up earlier and was working on something, and I spent 45 minutes writing something. Then I screwed up and accidentally hit a key and erased every damn bit of it. And I couldn't turn around and uh, erase my file because if I did, it would erase everything. And so it screwed me up so bad. I'd have been able to roll a little bit easier. But I had to go back and retype everything out again. But anyways, guys, what I got for you tonight, I got some good stuff. I have written something else called, it's for the Burrfoot audio project. It's a little segment called Bowl of Soup with Lord Gunthar. I don't know. It's kind of a rough draft. I'm still kind of wondering where I'm going with it, but it was just something that I thought up just to try to give a method to the madness on what I want to do with this Burrfoot project as to how it starts out. It'll probably be a role-playing thing anyway, so it's not necessarily, set in stone. It's just general guidelines. It's an idea. That's all it is. It just gives somebody a general idea to use. Okay, without me not making sense, I'll just go ahead and get this rolling. So we're ready to rock and roll. Hold on just a second here, guys. Please bear with me just a second. Okay. What am I doing here? Okay, hold on just a second. We're going to get this rolling. All right, let me pull up. Here we go. All right. And we want, yeah. There we go. Okay, there we go. We got it. Sweet. Okay, let me get back over here and. Okay. Hold on just a second here, guys. I gotta make sure I don't accidentally click it off. Okay. Alright, guys, hold on just a second. Gameplay. There we go. Ta-da! Alright, let's put it on here. Alright. And I'm hoping to God this some bitches. And I'll make sure to hit the mic on the thing so the mic's not coming in on it. Hold on just a second here, guys. Okay. Let's go ahead and see if it'll read it aloud.
And pray tell, my young Kendermaid, Lord Gunthar looked down at Astrid and pulled rather condescendingly on his moustache. What could you have possibly known about our advantage at the closing of the war? You weren't even born yet. Can I tell you, tings? Astrid mouthed around a piece of bread before stopping to make sure her papa had not inhaled his by mistake like he did last time. I will not have lies, Astrid continued. As an acolyte of the chantry of Chislev and Gillian, it is imperative to be truthful and avoid being disingenuous in all things, even when dealing with thine enemies. Damaris tapped her spoon on her goblet, attempting to call attention to her daughter Astrid speaking to Gunthar in this informal way. To no avail. Astrid was having none of it due to being a Kender. My daughter, Damaris irritably chided her, obviously attempting to put off the refined airs of Kender royalty. Remember, this is a lord you be speaking to. I am an empress, and we insist that you represent the Damaris Trapsringer legacy with an air of grace and... Astrid blew a raspberry at her mother and irritably resumed sipping her soup. Damaris shot her daughter an apprehensive warning look to indicate she wasn't pleased with her undignified manners. Actually, she just didn't want her daughter hogging all the attention. Children have no couth. My apologies, Lord Gunthar. I hope the old wizard's recurrent snoring does not disturb your meal. Damaris glanced irritably down the table at Fizban sitting next to Kaelin, two brittle old humans on their last legs. One senile, one apparently going that way. Kaelin, can you please take some of that cake or something and stuff it in that noisy maw of his? One of the Kender snickered and passed the cornplate, chuckling, which end? A few more seconds of obscene, carefully timed innuendos and the table erupted into a fifth-grade lunch table yet again. Some things, Lord Gunthar sighed, at best should not be done or discussed at the table by gentlemen. Good things, us. We are Kenderkin, Pez smirked. Astrid burped, and then for good measure one of the kenders down at the end of the table let out a squirrel fart. The table erupted into laughter again for a good minute, only the kender were participating. Astrid took her spoon and noisily sipped her soup as Tasselhoff did the same, with all the kenders noisily sipping their soup at the table, much to the annoyance of Lord Gunthar and Lady Demorris, who thought it wasn't in their interest in sipping soup like such, unless Her Grace decides to sip her soup first, in such a way that would warrant sipping the soup like that. I will not have lies, Astrid repeated. There is no honor among thieves, there should be no lies among allies, yeah? Lies, well that would be from a perspective of confidentiality, wouldn't it? I don't recall ever having you as part of my war council, young lady. Trapsbringer's daughter or not, you're not even old enough to understand everything the Whitestone Council knows, now please, child. Child? Bah! Silly human, I am older than your youngest son of 23. I am 20 as Kenderkin, 40 by human reckoning. You humans are babies. You should not tell lies about your age, or use it as excuse to say we Kenderkin cannot understand your silly human ways. The other kender at the table burst into laughter while the human knights all remained silent, most likely as it was the truth or the fact Astrid had just called Lord Gunthar a babyer to his face. Gunthar sputtered indignantly. How dare you? Young lady, might I remind you I am a knight, who swore an oath to not lie. Whatever do you insinuate, you little rapscallion? Eat your soup, children should not speak at the table except when spoken to. Gunthar waved his hand at first and took a drink of wine as he laughed to his peers. The imaginations of Kender. Fisbin, he told us, yeah? I sees a DragonLance. Yes, it be a genuine DragonLance. It was the only authentic DragonLance you had. The dragon army need not know this, quite clever, but we in Urgoth find that hilarious. So in this, I will tell you tings. Astrid daintily wiped her mouth with a napkin before picking up another cob of buttered corn and roughly tossing the other eaten cob onto a plate. A Gothian kender can put away some corn on the cob. Astrid and Tars had demolished 2 apiece between them before Gunthar and the rest of the table had touched their trenchers. The other dragonlances, they be of varying quality. Astrid chided, always room to improve, in this I tell you tings. The expedition sent back a report that the Silver River and forges beneath Dragon Mountain have suddenly become imbued with light and heat again. This is exciting. It means the ancient forges were only sleeping. Which probably explains why Fisbin's so tired now after the knight sent Pez and the boys to pick him up. Tars looked over at Fisbin snoring like a bear in hibernation. That's what he meant by using his breath to get the forge fires started again. Tars shrugged. Okay, so he is Paladin. If anybody could breathe life into something besides himself. Tars gave up waking Fisbin. Fisbin at this point was sawing logs with how loud he was snoring, and no amount of steaming food or squealing kender were going to entice him to snap out of hibernation. That old befuddled wizard is senile. Gunthar scoffed. He didn't use his breath to relight a forge. Gunthar paused and looked at his knights, who looked at each other unsure. Did he? Why is he here anyway? Where did you find him this time? Fisbarn, Astrid said indignantly. That's not a name, but he is silly old wizard. He cannot be Paladin, as Paladin would not tell lies or silly little fibs. He is telling fibs and playing possum. Wake up, Fisbarn. Don't make me pour a glass of water. Astrid reached for a glass of water on the table next to Fisbin, but the glass stuck fast to the table and wouldn't move. Astrid narrowed her eyes and attempted to throw a breadcrumb at Fisbin to get him to stir. To no avail, the breadcrumb floated harmlessly away as soon as it neared him. The kenders thought this quite neat, so they sat for a few moments throwing and watching things magically drift away from Fisbin, as they threw everything, including rolled up napkins, pickles on forks, and finally Pez got brave and sloshed a bit of ale at him, only to have it magically slosh back into his face with a surprised giggle. Astrid snuck up and poked him with her finger, only to find the spell only seemed to repel objects dropped or thrown at him. She apologized for throwing things at him and kissed him on the cheek, pausing only to notice that her hand wobbled uncontrollably away from Fizban's pocket no matter how hard she tried or how subtly she reached for it. Apparently Fizban's ward was useful against being bullied or robbed while he slept. There just wasn't his snoring. Grey fella can cast spell wards while he's sleeping. Pez whistled. I told YA. There was something off about this fella, dunno if he's all that wash about being paladin. Pez looked at Fizban snoring. If this fella is paladin, then I'm Haber's nephew. Pez chewed his gold bit and studied him. I don't reckon the Brett 10 would tell us either way if he was a lick or a darken, Pez colloquial term for anything evil. He can barely cast a fireball or remember his name. Sure he can, he just forgets, Tars shrugged. His paladin. He knows it all, that is, when he remembers who he is. He always forgets his hat. He sometimes forgets his name. He's pretty good at getting lost himself. We found him stumbling round outside in the snow round Foghaven weeks ago, without a lick of sense in his head, and he'd made up a big bunch of snowballs and was on the lookout for draconians. I had to tie him to the back of Pyrite and he cussed and hollered at us all the way back to camp. Said he was waiting for the forge to heat up. You said bring him here once you spied him with the Seer's crystal, so me and the boys went and rounded him up. Pez frowned. He used all his energy trying to fit with me and the boys. We still don't know as to why he was all the way out there. Dragon didn't even want to land to pick him up. Fart was crazy. Him setting off fireballs at us before we landed. We land and he said he wasn't leaving until the forge warmed up and he got to speak to Lord Gunthar or Tanis half-elven himself, but now we got him back here and he's falling asleep. That perplexes me as well, Gunthar mused. Where did you say you found him again? Foghaven Vale. Paying his respects to a long-dead Salamnic legend, okay, maybe that explains it. Huma's tomb, Silver Dragon Mountain, Silvara. Tasselhoff took a look at his topknot and uttered a silent prayer before tucking the tail into the back of his shirt. For some reason Tars didn't want to talk about it either. Foghaven Vale and Dragon Mountain. You were there during the war. We also went back a season or two ago sure as the dragon flies and camped about a half-day west of the hot springs. The expeditionary force and occupying garrison stationed there needed resupply. If the dragon army get wind that those forges are now operable after being warmed up, they will immediately start eyeing southern Urgoth and Sancrist as the culprit. Volo Leaf Dew spoke up and adjusted her spectacles as the steam from the cup of tea she drank kept fogging them up. Ack, Tars. Hand me a. Thank you. Excuse me. The elderly Kendamaid took a napkin Tars handed her and wiped them off, indicating just like steam from the cup. The forges were doing the same thing by becoming active again. The forges used for the DragonLance's Dio work, you just had to wait a little while for them to warm up, so to speak. You've got a few genuine DragonLances or two, but that's probably not enough. It's certainly not enough to hold off this legion of Takesis knights we keep hearing about. I'd opt for manufacturing some hoopax fitted for human hands, but you humans aren't too keen on kendo weapons, are you? Giant slingshots wouldn't look too intimidating to a legion of Takesis, would it? Kaelin Burrfoot raised Vorlos and Tiny, to him being a human, hoopak and twirled it with one hand while absently holding his wine goblet with the other. Vorlo irritably jerked it away from him, pausing only to smooth the feathers along the top staff before leaning it back against the table. Vorlo had retired her hoopak, but she wasn't going to let either one of her boys misplace or break it. She took the end of the hoopak and swatted at him playfully for merely touching it. Got to keep up appearances, and sometimes a bluff is the best strategy, Kaelin added. Cat's out of the bag by now, Gunthar, you can stop pretending. DM's note * subtle reference to Kaelin Burrfoot and the fact, while officially he wasn't allowed to become a knight, instead he became one of the Lord's men operating undercover during the War of the Lance. Pretending was just part of his job. What are you insinuating? Gunthar narrowed his eyes and set his goblet down while staring at Kaelin. Your tongue got you lashed once for insubordination. Gunthar's face turned red, reminding him of the punishment that went along stripping him of his potential knighthood. I suggest you watch your tone. Gunthar fumed. That is not something we discuss openly. At least not in front of uninitiated Kenda. They couldn't keep a secret too. He cleared his throat and tried not to look at Volo Leafdew's insinuating glare, her having been his Akenda operative at this table longer than half the humans in his current knighthood garrison had been alive. To imply the demi-humans were ignorant of that was an insult. What's the Kenda insinuating? Gunthar's aide interrupted him. Are they saying we lack the skill to make quality dragonlances? Nonsense, this Kenda maid is babbling and knows not of what she speaks, she's just repeating things she overheard. Kenda do that. Why do we care? Another knight irritably glared at Astrid. The rest of the dragonlances, Astrid resumed munching on her cob of corns, are fake. Astrid blurted out the last sentence, while subtly eating with her mouth full, pretending she hadn't just blurted out the most coveted secret of the entire war. Blasphemy! You're an initiate of Chislev, that's enough, young lady. The knight looked flustered. Lord Gunthar, this Kenda is being very rude to us. We are guests. I will overlook it being a Kenda for this insinuation that we are incompetent. We have 20 lances in all, some mounted and some are not, they are all real. Granted, our newest efforts cannot match the lost skill Korras used to forge ages ago, but give us a chance. This new development with the forge in southern Urgoth. It's incredible. DM's note, there were 20 surviving dragonlances found in the Stone Dragon in southern Urgoth. In the short story, the story that Tasselhoff promised never to tell, it was suggested that Silvara only partially broke her oath by revealing to the Whitestone forces the location of the surviving dragonlances, but not actually revealing how to make more. This of course was considered to be the bluffs of a hope and a prayer. If you believe enough in it, it's not a lie. It's a sort of allegory to everything to come to Dragonlance before or since, the mere premise of having faith. Although you ain't got a snowball's chance in hell, pardon the Fizban pun, of knowing whether something works or not, whether it be gnomes or humans, Kenda, or wizards. Sometimes we just have enough faith, stupidity, or the actual balls to push a button and be prepared to ride it out once the gnomish contraption has ascended skyward or into a brick wall. Life works the same way sometimes. Silly boys, Astrid kept chiding. Like silly gnomes. Astrid's pronunciation of gnomes is no emphasis on Z. You build a big part thinking it's going to make the task easier, cannot understand why it cannot get through the door. You think if the enemy sees it, it will make him think twice about what big boy has tucked away in his pocket. Always silly boys, so silly boys. There are still a significant amount of forces around Naraka just in case the Dark Queen decides to take a bite out of this new settlement. You've established in Urgoth, your bluff during the war will only hold them off for so long. We suspect the Queen found out about Silvara. They've sent spies into Sancrist and southern Urgoth before. The Kenda maid, despite her jest, speaks the truth. I think she's implying putting something down your trousers to make the enemy think you have more than you actually do will only work for so long. Kaelin reached over and took a cob of corn off the plate, instead of using a knife to shave the corn onto a plate like the civilized knights around the table would do. He decided to do like the Kenda and take a few munches off the cob despite the corn sticking to his mustache. All the Kenda were smart enough to get the obvious metaphor the Urgothian female Kenda had used, from hearing tales from the upper class in the inns that were on the salacious end of tavern talk. Astrid was not above flirting with humans and Kenda males alike, although under auspices of the university she served as well as the dictums of the chantry of Chislev. Sexual promiscuity and temptation were viewed as distractions and things the Queen of Darkness easily used to manipulate men and women alike. Urgothian clerics were clear among their people, as were the other races in Salamnia. Debauchery and temptation were often tools of Takesis. A chaste life was essential among most positions of civil or spiritual authority in Ansalon. All Kenda, however, are quite fond of dirty jokes, anecdotes, or outright embellishment concerning observations or insults about human anatomy. if there is a fart joke or salacious story in the DragonLance world. To be told for humor, it's most likely a Kender telling it. DM's note: Ergothian Kender, while most tend to be slightly more religious after the cataclysm, skirt this rule of chastity as they aren't subject to human mandates on the island of Ergoth made by a human emperor. Silly emperor, say Kenders and humans should behave alike. Astrid's voice drops to a conservative whisper. He insists the chantry has say how they love. What nonsense. Nonsense. A missionary position? Is that silly human bishop talking about? Astrid's voice drops even lower as she blushes. Rootings, asterisk silly human, make no talk of rootings in front of Kenderkin. Their silly parts do not fit. Act. Filthy duck weasel. You says it, naughty boy, not me. Astrid bursts into giggles. Mama, she tells me what courting Kenders get up to, and I says, nay mama. I will not be married with Kenderlings until I have completed my life quest, and she says, Astrid, you are not a gnome, you can still play with the Kender boys. Act. Do not marry one, make him find you the interesting things to see and do and collect a more than one, just in case he decides to go off fishing and things get boring. DM's note: the concept of Kender settling down and getting married is termed as rooting. DL15 The Mists of KRYNN for page 116. Sourcebook. It has an obscene connotation only if you live in Australia. Astrid finished the last bit off the cob of corn and Tars saw her smirk at her mama, who seemed to be a teasing her husband Uncle Trap's ringer and the other men at the table by being somewhat suggestive with her own plate. Vorlo nudged Tasselhoff's father, who blushed as an obvious indication of idle hands causing mishaps when a lady got bored. It was also the reason why Kaelin never become a full Salamnic knight. Tasselhoff's mother understood the joke, as did Kaelin. Vorlo didn't care. Kaelin wasn't her Kender husband or even Tasselhoff's biological father. She often reminded him every other day he missed the chance to become a Salamnic knight because of his inability to think with the big head instead of the little one. Not her fault, as she always tried to keep him out of trouble, but she could do little more than act like a mother when it came to human Kaelin or Kender Tars. Both of them probably needed a good chewing from someone besides their biological mothers from time to time. Letting the little head think for the big one got OL Whistlebritches in trouble and kept him out of the knighthood. You missed out on riding into battle on a dragon because you couldn't keep your lance holstered with a lady. Kaelin looked at her sheepishly and kept his head down, regardless of whether the incident had occurred decades ago. It didn't help Kaelin with Vorlo bringing it up. At least that was the official cover story that had been passed around. DM's note: to be clear, the incident was with a married human woman. Vorlo Leafdew is a Kendermaid of some considerable age to Kaelin, but it didn't stop whisperings of a select few speculating Kaelin was disgraced from the knighthood for attempting a relationship with a Kender, which is ludicrous even if it were possible. Humans and Kender are not romantically compatible. Kaelin was a toddler when he was found by Vorlo Leafdew's family in Zaktsaroth. He was 20 before he met her again in Sankrist as a Kender scout. By then she was even older. Vorlo Leafdew is as possibly as old as Tanis and Laurana. Vorlo considers Kaelin, Burrfoot and Tasselhoff to both be her sons, although she admits Tasselhoff is her actual son. Kaelin raised Tars until he was 4. He caught back up with Vorlo and together they travelled to Haven to live among the plainsmen as well as other places until Tars turned 18 and eventually left on his wanderlust and headed to Solace. Mom! Tasselhoff protested around a mouthful of bread and narrowed his eyes. You're embarrassing Dad again. Dad, how is the soup? Pass the pepper to Pez. No, I'm fine, I don't want pepper on my chocolate muffin, although I will try. Some pickled jam on a piece of this scone. The Kender's trencher plate was neatly arranged with a diverse assortment of weird eccentric offerings. Trust me, Kender would go nuts with a veggie and cheese plate at an office party buffet. Tars took a bite and immediately spit it out as another bug had flown onto his bread and gotten stuck on the jam. The Kenders, who are hesitant to consciously hurt any living creature if they can help it, had created a refugee plate to let the bugs crawl away to. After that, the gravy-covered beetle rescued from the fondue was easy pickings for the dogs, cats, birds, or the gully dwarf who ate it. Give everything a fighting chance. What happens after is beyond your control. OL Wizard's got no brains, Pez shook his head. How's he gonna help you make a DragonLance if he can't remember where he took a squat last, or if he can't? Stays awake for more than a minute. The old fella is missing some beans and marbles out of his bags. He still thinks I'm a dwarf. He ran from us because he thought the dwarfs was mad he messed with they forge. We chased him all up and down Foghaven for 3 hours. Old Beezer put up a fight until he figured out we was the good guys. Had to get Pyrite to tell him to stop trying to kill us with a fireball. Old fool claimed he was the only person that had permission to be there. He goes in there and blows into this silvery pool and the forge starts up. The knight said they'd set up a garrison at the tomb, told me to bring him back here to his lordship's estate, until we can fetch the Rose Ironfeld. All was good until we told him we were riding back on a dragon. He throws another fit and says he hates heights. I give him a few sips of courage. He stowed half the dram on the way up, and the rest off the side of poor Pyrite's left flank on the way down. We land and he is now acting like YAC here. He's either drunk off that dram or he's playing possum and pulling our legs. He claims the Queen of Darkness is raring to go again, but I ain't never seen no actual Dark Queen. She's real, Pez, Tars nodded. She sometimes works malevolent magic, nothing like when you stub your toe, which wouldn't be very intimidating if all she did was go around and stomp on people's feet. No, she summons earthquakes and fires and can make dragons do her bidding. She probably did make us get lost that one time. We ran around Foghaven Vale for several days until Fizban remembered the teleportation spell he'd used in the first place kept sending us back to the tomb. It wasn't the Queen of Darkness. The old fart forgot he'd used a spell to get there. As if on cue, Fizban snoring at the table stopped and he sat upright and he bellowed out. Foghaven. Again? Blast it. Burrhead. Dig out that map. We're lost again. Not lost. You are right here. Silly human. Astrid rolled her eyes. Fizban, how can you be a wizard when you forget so much? Cousin Tars, does he not remember visiting the Silver Dragon Mountain? He was just there last week. How can he forget so quickly? He tells lies and fibs, Cousin Tars. I may be a Kender, but Fizban better stop with the lies, or we shall have to smack his hiney for telling untruths. Stop it. Tars bit off a hunk of bread and mumbled he'd swore on his topknot he'd never tell that story again, and now these blabbermouths were at the dinner table talking about it. No maps, Fizban, we're at Trapspringer Mansion in North Urgoth. Here, try some of this soup. Astrid, get him some soup before he goes back to sleep. Fizban. Soup. Eat. Fizban, my aunt and Uncle Trapspringer have invited Lord Gunthar as their dinner guest, you too. We want to know all about getting that forge to make new DragonLance if you'll tell us. Fizban had the Rose Ironfeld bluff by using the true DragonLance to split the Whitestone. Even he didn't know it was the only lance. We know what happened, Tars, we all do. I was on Sandcrest when you arrived. You didn't know we were there, kid. Fizban is better at bluffing and hiding than you'll ever know. I know it wasn't right for me to stay hidden. You have no idea how hard it was to see our boy after all these years and not be able to say anything. If I did, the Aurak would have succeeded in killing your companions as well as Gunthar, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. I really wish we'd have seen Flint again. I hope he got some use out of that soapstone I left him. Kaelin stopped talking as Tars gave him a very sad, indignant look at the mention of Flint Fireforge's name. You didn't say anything about meeting Flint or Laurana. Tars snapped. You hiding from me wasn't the problem, Dad. Just for once. I used to dream about bringing you to meet Tanis and everybody. Tars started to get emotional. I mean, thank you for the toy and the extra rations, and the little slip of paper that said the Burrfoot true and through. It did make me feel a little bit better when I rode with Flint into battle. I just wish Flint could be here too. We did speak to both Flint and Laurana, Tars' mother added. You didn't know we spoke to Flint, and we couldn't dare blow our cover in Calaman or Palanthas at the time. At that point, Tars groaned. I'm sorry, Tasselhoff, but you missed us by an hour. The dragon riders were getting ready to depart, and that's when I passed the message along and put the things in your pack when you were asleep on the battlements. I even kissed you on the forehead as you slept. We couldn't dare let anyone know who you were. The Oryx, they had spies. Fizban made sure you stayed asleep. Mom. Really? Yet another revelation dropped in Tar's lap by his parents. Tars was getting really annoyed at his parents now. They'd been aware of this whole thing the whole time. Tars shook his head irritably. It's bad enough I passed out asleep on the battlements on watch, somebody could have put a knife in my gullet. Tars was indignant. You let someone cast a spell on me. How many times did you do this? With Fizban's help, Vorlo answered. Quite a few times, but it was for your own good. I'm sorry, Tars, but that's just the way it was. Vorlo seemed to be unapologetic about the whole thing. It was the hardest moment of my life, right down to the point when I had to leave you the first time, but I always assumed if you were in Fizban's company you couldn't be any worse for wear than if you weren't. Fizban has definitely looked after the Stoat clan for several generations. Whoops, or ga-oh, the phrase that every human on Ansalon dreads from hearing out of a Kender. Kalin looked at Tars and raised his eyebrows and sipped on his soup noisily. The old knight had a twinkle in his good-working eye. And nudged Fizban, who was still asleep and didn't move except to mumble to Kalin, "Oh, pipe down and eat your soup, Burrhead or Burrfather. Where is my hat? Oh, there it is. Comfy. ZZZ." Fizban resumed snoring. Tars looked at his human father indignantly as Kalin added, "You've had quite a pangshang for breaking dragon orbs, as I understand it now." Not sure how you knew that. Hey, is that lentil soup? Can I have some of that? Tars attempted to change the subject by asking the servants for another soup being ladled into bowls. Didn't think we knew that, did we? Vorlo added. Tars coughed and waved his hands, pretending the soup was too hot, but he knew it was a fib, and he was as guilty as the cat that had swiped the bird. Ridiculous! Gunthar scoffed and pulled his mustache again nervously. A bluff perhaps, but certainly not a lie. We are still studying the lances and the orb shards to this day. It didn't help that your son delayed things as it were by breaking an orb at the most critical time. We still aren't sure the methods to that madness, but we have always suspected the Kender was compelled by the old wizard to do so. To delay us, to what end? Who is lying and bluffing and being disingenuous now? Fizban clearly has his reasons. Tars shrugged. I've known him that long now to figure that out. Bluff maybe, lie maybe when it suits him. He loves surprise. It's like having a birthday every other day of the week, just sometimes Fizban's presents are an exercise in saying, it's the thought that counted. Okay, maybe Fizban isn't the most forthcoming about his motives and tends to let us just so happen to find out when it's time. It's annoying, but how are you going to tell Paladin what to do, especially if he knows how to do something but just forgot? I will not have lies. Astrid blurted out. The Kendermaid's brutal honesty was her trademark and a shortcoming at the same time. Her inquisitive nature did not deter her from knowing something by making an honest inquiry. Even if the subject was taboo, such things are unknown to Kender, especially in cases where the personal business of others is involved. If you have a secret, don't tell a Kender. They will inevitably spill the beans. They be fake. The DragonLances are fake. You've still yet to discover the means to make one like the original. If Fizban has found a way to relight the forges, we must discover how to forge them. You can only keep enemies at bay by stuffing something down your pants for so long. No bluffs and no lies. We show their dragon army WE mean business, and WE have the biggest lances. Real ones. We have real dragon lances. Gunthar fumed. Good enough. At that moment Fizban suddenly sat up and bellowed again. You just wait until that forge is heated up, little lady, a touch of Korra's hammer and some feel-good wishes and whatnots, and I'll show you how to make a dragon lance. Youngsters think they know everything. As if to add insult much to the chagrin of Lord Gunthar, Fizban confirmed the final presumption by stating his intentions, and then falling back asleep. "Guess that confirms it," Burrfoot said. "The lances the knights attempted to make are substandard at best, and until that forge is relit and fully operational, we deprive ourselves of a vital resource in keeping the dragon army out of northern and southern Urgoth." Gunthar bit his tongue, and his soup spoon landed with a plop back into the bowl. Tasselhoff himself spit his soup out, and Pez even spit out his gold bridge. Actually, Pez's goblet had a bug in it when he took a big gulp. It was just a harmless beetle, so he let it climb back out and placed it on the refugee plate, next to Fizban, who was still fast asleep with his head propped up on the table next to his staff and hat. Tars had sent several bowls of soup down the table hoping the scent would wake him up, but he suspected either the dog or Fooge the gully dwarf had nabbed his soup and left nothing but breadcrumbs scattered like rye trencher snowflakes across his sleeping form. Tars gave up and passed Pez the skewers with steamed oysters. "Quite silly of you boys." Empress Damaris dabbed a piece of bread in her soup and nibbled on it as if slightly bored. "Darling Tasselhoff, how is the soup?" "It's fine," Tars stammered. "It's excellent soup, Auntie Damaris." Tars kept noticing her eyes wander to the two younger Kender footmen who attended her to dinner to bring her forks and stuff, and then back to Tasselhoff with a smirk. She was flirting with them as well as Tars. To think that at one time they had tried to marry him off to the amorous shrew for a Kender of a woman who cared little for anyone's pursuits except her own. Lady Damaris was spoiled and pampered, and that wouldn't change even if she hadn't married Trapspringer. Astrid, however, was not like her mother, and Tars certainly had to be grateful for that. Maybe in another life it had been Pez instead of Gisela Hornslager who had grabbed him up in solace that day on a bounty to be taken to Kendamore all those years ago. As it stood, he wasn't being abducted and forced to marry anyone as of right now, and that was all fine with him. He noticed Vorlo and Kaelin watching him whenever he spoke to Astrid and whispering among themselves when they thought he wasn't observing them. What was all that about? Astrid was only Tars' cousin by marriage, but that certainly couldn't be the reason as to why Vorlo had written him a letter and requested him to travel to northern Urgoth, just to find Fizban senile and babbling out of his mind about dragonlances. There had to be more to it.
Alrighty, y'all. What do y'all think about that? Alright, I'm going to take a real quick break, and we'll come right back. We've been streaming for about 37 minutes. That's doing good, doing good. I'm going to round it out here. I'm going to show you a little bit about the Dragonlance Oracle. It's actually just a little handy thing that I didn't come up with it, but I'll show it to you here in just a little bit. But we'll be right back here in just a minute. Take you a real quick break, and we'll be right back. All right. Okay, y'all. Let's see what we got rolling here. All right, hold on just a second here, and let me rock this thing over again. Let me see here. I want to close that now. Just give me a second, y'all. Oh, shit. No, that ain't it. Damn it. Well, it's not what I want. Okay. I think I got it, guys. Hold on just a second. Sweet. Okay. Just a second here, guys. There we go. Alright. There we go. Boink. Alright, guys. This is fairly simple. Let me show you here what I'm talking about here. Alright. Oh, shit. Let me make sure that... Okay, my audio's on. I'm just making sure. Okay. Alright, guys. Put it back up there. Okay. If you look at the tails of the lance... hold on just a second. I'm going to grab the camera here and show you. Just give me just a second here. Let me get my shit together. Moved out of the way so I don't knock nothing over or break nothing. That's what I worry about half the fucking time, my old blind ass. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. I try to keep it PG-13, but you know me. Over the counter, my mouth gets me in trouble. Always. Always. Yep. Alright. Let's see here. And I'll just assume that I'm looking at the right thing. Okay. Alright, real quick, guys. I won't go over this. Alright. The World Book of Ancelon, they had this thing called a Talus deck. Okay. Now, you can use the thing on the back right here, or you can also do this insert thing and showed you here. And what I just went ahead and did, yeah, see, it was the Vintage Generation with the Talus cards. You can read it, okay? It's in the World Book of Ancelon. It's AD&D 2nd edition, okay? All right. Basically, what you want to do is take you a D10, right? And when you're basically setting up a scene or something and you're needing something at random, this is basically how you do it right here. And you can set it up to basically location here too, you know, fire, wind, like say if something like if it's during a rainstorm, the next encounter that you have can be underwater, and then you just go from there. But here, let me read you out what I got here, and I'll try to interpret some of this if I can remember what I did. Oh no. Let's see here. Okay. Alright, yeah, I'm looking at it here on the screen here. Alright, let's see here. Okay, when I rolled, yeah, I rolled and it was on the Talus deck random role-playing notes. And let me point the camera here again because you didn't see this part. Okay. Right here, if you can see it, see, it's 1 through 9, okay, the first line, I do believe, yeah, okay, so yeah, I got a 6, and so it was a hidden motivation, okay, and I was to carry a message, okay, yep, I'd rolled another 6, it was to carry a message. I rolled a 1, dark war in the north, and then they had found a body, which was a broken corpse, okay? So that's what I interpreted it as. And so basically on the page, once I rolled it, I put, for unknown reasons, you are asked to deliver a message to a town official, who then informs you of possible war in the north, and a body was found recently. Okay, that's how you translate that. Pretty simple, you know. It's a very generic event oracle that you can do a yes or nay, or just to generate an encounter. Now, as you'll notice here on the battle map, it's got the same thing. Okay, these correspond with this. Well, I got a bunch of shit on top of it. You might be able to see it, but well, okay. See right in between there, you might be able to see it. The one that says 37 right there. That little map, 37, 38, 32, those little numbers right there. Okay, well, anyways, you've looked through this. I don't need to tell you about this, okay? Anyways, it's listed, and it's got under what encounter, if you're there, you can do random shit. An ogress hive of giant bees, an ogress witch lair, a strange hermit. You know, those are monster lairs, and those are random. Yeah. But it's a very simple little thing just to do. Okay, let's do the next one. Let's not dawdle. Okay? Stay on point, Josiah. Don't ramble. Okay, I'm trying. Alright. The next one I got, I rolled a 1, and I got, it is nervous. 7 was a quiet glen. 5, I heard whispering. 6 was a cave in. 6 was hail. 9 was priest. That was the numbers that I rolled. Yeah, and I went along this line right here. Yeah, this top line right here was what I used for this one. Okay, see, okay, event, mood, location. See, I've got it listed up there. Okay. Another scroll by finds a cloud inside the tomb. Inside a used wizard followed by a cave in. After a massive hailstorm right outside, a specter appears. You know, simple shit like that. And you can make it transfer over if you want to. If it was a certain weather that you rolled to preclude that, you can put it as water or something and go with that. That was just a spur of the moment thing. I don't know. It's, you know how my fucking autistic ass works. I think up shit all the time. But anyway, let's see here. Yeah. Basically, I rolled it up as, well, bring goods to a local grocer run by an ogress. We learned she snapped her fishing pole, attempting to haul in a large catch. She inquires if they could repair her pole or help her fish or find a way to replace the pole. She would be grateful and cover any damages, including loss of limb. Yep. Loss of limb. She says this rather sheepishly, as if she doesn't mean it. Anything mean enough to snap a fishing pole of an ogress her size is most likely a formidable beast, and the likelihood of you not making it back means that she don't have to pay up. Ooh. Yeah, buddy. Well, anyway. So that's that. Alright, guys. Hold on just a second here. But that's a little bit of my AD&D DragonLance Oracle. You know, that's my version of it anyway. I don't give a shit. If you don't like it, make up something better. Buttholes. Okay, guys. We'll be right back here in a minute. I got to pull something else up. Let me see what else I got here. Alright, guys. Sorry about that. Now you can hear me. Shit, here I was talking to myself. Yeah, figures. You know how that shit goes. Alright, guys. We ready to rock and roll. Let's see here what we got here. We got some Dragon magazine. Yes, it is the supposed 50th anniversary of D&D. So, to commemorate that, we just round out this stream at night with an issue of Dragon. See what we can come across. I don't know what year this is. I just pulled something up. We just sitting and wondering. That's what it's all about. Gosh, I've been writing just about all night, guys. My brain is kind of mush. I was in such a damn hurry to get something on that, you know, I plowed through and I wrote and I wrote and wrote, you know, meaning to get it done. I was going to stream last night and I didn't. I just, you know, kind of got a little sidetracked, and so, you know, shit happens. It's alright. Alright, let me see what year this was. It's, September 82. Yeah, damn. Yeah, buddy. Alright, I cannot read this because my blind ass is really blind. Okay, we're gonna zoom in a little bit. Now, I'd say I apologize if my damn screen thing's in the way, but oh boy. Make sure our audio's still on. Yeah, we're going. We're still rolling. We're still rolling. We're good. We're good. Okay. We're looking. I've been playing D&D and AD&D for 3.5 years. So see, AD&D was out in 1982. They had AD&D. That was original AD&D. Okay. Second edition didn't come around until 89. Second edition is my jam. Okay. But I'm kind of I'm a second wave whippersnapper. Matter of fact, I can't really call myself a fucking grognard because I don't have enough experience to be a grognard. I could say I'm a grognard maybe because the DragonLance books and the literature, because I was in that shit before I got into the gaming. But other than that, no. I'm a little second wave retard. I wear that with pride. All right. Guest territorial by E. Gary Gygax. I don't know. I don't hold the man, and I didn't know the man. I didn't know enough about the man. I mean, hell, by the time that I even bothered to even look him up, I mean, shit, the guy was already dead. I knew who Gary Gygax was. It's just, you know, out of all the people that was synonymous with Dungeons and Dragons, yeah, I knew who Gygax was, but, you know, I knew him as, you know, them guys who way back when developed Dungeons and Dragons, you know, back in the 70s. You know, 1980s TSR was a lot different aesthetically from 70s TSR, it seems like. TSR in the 80s did seem to be it was trying to be mainstream, let's put it that way. No longer attend Origins. What the hell's going on? Oh, this is him bitching about something about. Oh, he's bitching about something about Origins. I don't know. I don't give a shit. It don't matter now. Hell, he's dead. Shit. All due respect to the man, but hey. You gonna go die for a dead man's cause? Shit. I respect the game. But as far as anything else, as far as the personal spats or views on some of the stuff that he said, I don't really care. Okay? According to fucking internet, you know, he kicked his dog and probably didn't feed his wife. It comes from the fucking internet, it must be true. They used to think that Margaret and Tracy Hickman were sisters. And they'd write them love letters. Tracy got all the damn, what is this? Oh! That's when that's a first premiere thing for Star Frontiers. And buddy, Steve Winter. September 1982. I would get the baby. Matter of fact, I was still shitting in diapers when this thing come out. I wasn't even old enough to even read. I wasn't even old enough to read this damn thing. I used to read a lot of Easy Riders from 1982. Seemed like the older issues was a lot more intellectual. There was less fucking advertising. As they got up on into the late 90s, it seemed to be more toward advertising. Dragon for $24, yeah. Due to inflation, you never see a subscription for $24. Not of a regular magazine. It was monthly. Boarding party. See, this is the stuff they used to run. It was not just strictly fantasy. You know, they ran science fiction games. Weapons wear out, not skills. Proficiency systems. Traveler. Traveler. Science fiction role playing. It's called Traveler. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Game designers by Bloomington, Illinois. You like that? I'll have to look that up. I'm pretty sure Max or somebody has covered that before. I just haven't paid any attention to it. I'm a DragonLance guy, you know that? Villains and vigilantes. Yeah, that's pretty cool. City-state warfare. City-state warfare. Infantry combat in the far future. Imperial Infantry Squad. There's so much stuff there that's... Oh, what? It's friggin' Sonics. I don't know about in the early 80s they were big on the Sonic shit, and then they just kind of petered it out. I was never much for Sonics. I don't know. It was something they used, I think, in Dark Sun. As I understand it, it was supposed to be a Time Lord. So that's kind of cool. NPC class for the future, present, and past. Time Lords, an elite military order of a mutated human race. And the order of the Time Lords. And all these Time Lords. Monsters of the Midway. Holy shit. Hey, look at that. That looks like that. Oh fuck! What is that damn game? I've got it. Blood Bowl. I've got it. It's. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, basically the game is. Yeah, the game is based on the same. Yeah, basically the same thing. That's where it was. That's where it came from. But I've got it for Xbox. I ain't played much of it. I don't know how to play the damn thing. I got through one damn match of it, and I'd have to study it, because otherwise I look like a fucking dumbass. But yeah, this is the issue it's in. Pretty cool, huh? Internet Archive, that's where I got it. September 1982 was the issue. Blocking and tackling results. Oh, shit. Oh, they got draft charts. Okay. This is sports shit. It's like fantasy sports, but they got, say, Some fucking ball player motherfucker. That shit's. I don't know. I'm just not into that kind of shit, but it's each to its own. A revised Celtic myth of damn. I say a lot of people probably. I don't know. You know, hey, I won't knock it for people that like it. There's probably people that subscribe to it. A revised Celtic mythos. Damn. Look at that artwork. That's cool. Danan. She's got a -4. Oh, she's goddess to magic. That's why she has a -4 armor class. Sitting there thinking, somebody got a damn -4 armor class. These characters, I guess. Damn. Oh, I bet that damn thing be worth a pretty penny now. Pirates and plunder. Huh. Wall of the Lands. Money making world. In other words, how to make stuff legal in a fantasy world. In other words, laws. What can you do in a fantasy world? What you can't do. That kind of shit. Yeah. Daredevils have adventures. It's just called Daredevils. Intrigue set in the 1930s. Huh. That's cool. Huh. Charlottesville, Virginia. Iron Crown Enterprises. Company in Charlottesville. So you would think if you go down there to Abingdon in the bookstores and the libraries, you'd find stuff like that. Sterling silver. It's no pizza, it's the Pong papers. What? Top secret. Fuck is this James Pong? Oh, that's why people were pissed off. Yeah, this kind of stupid shit right here. A lot of these assholes. You know, that's why it attracted a lot of these fucking nut jobs. And it is true. I mean, some of these fucking role playing games. I mean, some of them. It's just a fucking role playing game, really. But there's some of these little fucking assholes. They did take it a little bit too fucking serious. Mall ninjas, basically, is what we called them. Henry's kind of a mall ninja. I kill. I know 15 ways to kill my thumb. That kind of crap. Baddest of the bad. Yeah, well, I know a guy that can remotely hatchet and he can blow himself. It's that damn Sandler. Damn Sandler album. see him on video. Dragon move. Troll pack. What the fuck? The fuck is that shit? Why is it a set of guts? What in the hell? What in the hell is this? RuneQuest, Troll Pack, all about trolls. I don't know. And like Flayed Open. Who in the hell had the idea to advertise this shit, though? I mean, that's like... Somebody must have been doing some fucking acid or something, man. Deer models. Gangbusters. These are... They're cutouts of something. Oh, they're for that little fucking sports game. That's the fuck it is, yeah. Blood Bowl. You even put the board down. Ha ha ha. So yeah, you print that son of a bitch out, and it's got tokens, so I'm assuming that little motherfucker flips on a fucking dime or whatever, and it works exactly like football on a board. I guess what you want to call it. Alright, guys. Let's see here. Yeah, I think we're doing good. We've been streaming for an hour and 8 minutes, so I think we're okay. Alrighty, y'all. I think we're going to call that a night. Thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, I do this 100% free. I'm not monetized. As you can see, I'm definitely a DragonLance fan. All the prints on my walls. Don't fall over. But anyways, guys, thank y'all for tuning in. I'll try to get back on and have some more stuff going. Like I said, the Burrfoot project, it's still going on. It's partially based on Black Rose's Bloom. I will finish writing up on the Strahd's motivations and luring Raceland into Ravenloft, and I'll come up with that a little bit later. I've already written it out. It's just I got to get it to where it's a little bit more presentable. I was thinking about other shit tonight, so I didn't have everything prepared for that. So I just pulled up the stuff from Asher Damaris and All right, guys. Thank you. This is Engine Joe. Roll on.